I'll have you out there waiting for you. He told me to spend about 12 minutes. He said that way if anybody has any questions. Thank you for allowing me to be here this morning. Again, my name is Josh Randall. I'm the president. I work half with my dad, so you can call me the slave, whatever you want to call me. But I'm the president of Central Screen Printing. And how we started, it was back in 1984. My dad ran Ebonite accessory line, Ebonite Bowling out of Hopkinsville. And one thing he noticed, there was a great need for the screen printing. They were having a major problem getting things done. Bowling gloves, they couldn't get them quick enough. And at that time, they were all made in the U.S. So there was very few people that could do quick turnarounds on screen printing items. And they were going through, just to give you an idea, they was doing 200 dozen bowling towels alone every day. And that was just for Kmart. That wasn't counting all the little pro shops across America and stuff. So my dad ran that line, and he was making $27,000 a year, and he was working literally 70, 80 hours a week, driving all the way to Hopkinsville. And I'll never forget, I was 10 years old. My dad said, I've had enough. He said, I want to spend more time with at that time it was me and my second brother. He was 5, and I was 10, and he said, I want to spend more time at home. He said, I don't mean to see you guys. So he came home and he bought me a little motorcycle, bought him a motorcycle, and he started working out in his garage, and we started fishing a whole lot more together. And that's what I remember the most from my childhood. So that's one thing I love about being in business for myself, is I had that opportunity to do that with my family. I have 4 children, ages 21 all the way down to 9. I got 3 daughters and my 9-year-old son. I'm going to go buy a new Madden today. So my dad started the business in '84. He told the owner of Ebonite Bowling, he said, I'd like to have the printing business if you'd give me the opportunity. And of course, he gave it to my dad. And my dad came back to Central City, started doing it on the back porch. Then he built the garage. So it was a 2-man show, and it's the first time that he ever screen printed, didn't know anything about it, and he got it down pat. He was actually one of the best at it. So when I graduated high school in '93, I had worked for my dad ever since I was 11 years old, printing in the evenings. I got a school bus and I printed every day for 4 hours. I went until I was like 15, and then it was like my dad thought he got an employee at half the price. I was working 8, 9 hours a day, but I bought my first motorcycle, so I was excited about it. First racing bike. So anyways, in '93, when I graduated, my intent was to be a lawyer. And my dad made me an offer to stay in the business for 25% of the company, and with the option at some point to buy the other 25%, where I'd be half owner. And so I became half owner actually in '95. And then through, y'all know the NAFTA, the free trade agreement, when that was signed, all of our business went overseas, every bit of it. So we were scrambling. So here I was in debt, just bought into the company, and I had to do something. So I opened another store in Ohio County, and it's called OC Sports, and just started really pushing sales. I mean, day and night, I was trying to make this thing work. So me and my father, to be totally honest with you though, I never really can remember not having sales. It just seems like once I started selling, because I knew it because I was in the business since I was 10 years old, the sales just seemed like they came easy. The problem we had early on was producing it. It was because, here I was selling, me and my dad were selling during the day. I was doing the artwork at night and printing the rest of the night. I mean, we were, again, working 18, 20 hours a day, and that's not exaggerating. I'd go to OC Sports. I ran that for 2 years, got people trained, started doing signs and trophies and stuff like that, things I wasn't familiar with. And I'd come back to Central City, and I'd literally work 12, 1 o'clock at night, every day. It was just every day, 6 days a week. But one thing I will tell you, and I know this is and I'm not just bringing this up because this is Breaking Bread Ministries, but one thing I will share with you is I choose my words carefully when I say there is a difference between people say, oh, you're very fortunate. No, I'm very blessed. Because I know where this all comes from. The good Lord has blessed our business tremendously. And I look back, and of course I'm 41 now, but I look back and I see where my dad, as I grew up, was one of the most giving guys ever. The dollar bill did not mean anything to him in respects to helping others out. It was constant. To the point that I remember being upset because I thought people were taking advantage of me. But I just seen how, there was one time my dad, this was in 87, I think it was, 88. My dad landed a contract with the Navy. He hired somebody from that did the quality control to work for him for a year to make sure everything that he done met all the specs. First tractor trailer load, 6 months worth of work, was rejected by the Navy because the top button was too high up. So it just about put my dad under. And I'll never forget this. He was sitting there telling me, he said, son, he goes, we may have to shut the doors. He said, I may have to go back to working with Carl and Rogers and them, but that night, it's actually no big deal to him. He just thought, you know what, it didn't pan out. And it was about 2 or 3 days, Kmart calls and says there was a shipment of bags that came in from overseas into North Carolina that was messed up. They wanted my dad to repair them. My dad made $50,000 in just a little over a week repairing those bags for them because it was an emergency. So he got the funds immediately and he's back on his feet and back going. It just seemed like things like that, it was just constant. It was just constant. So I know who provided this was hard work, but it was also the good Lord bless us. And there was a time in my life that, of course I taught Bible classes since I was 18 years old. I remember when I was about 22, 23, the prayer of Jabez. Do y'all know the story of the prayer of Jabez? This guy, the Bible, is just a couple verses in the Bible. It talks about a man who was born in pain. His mother bore him and called him Jabez, which means my sorrow. And he cried out to the Lord. He said, Lord, enlarge my coast. Make my territory bigger. Keep the evil one from it. He said, and bless me indeed. And the Bible says, and all it says after that was, and God granted his request. And that was it. But I remember teaching that in Bible class, and I remember going home one day, and I just said, Lord, enlarge my territory. Bless me indeed. Keep me from the evil one. And I'm telling you, it's like, I feel like the good Lord honored that and granted that request. Now, I know that's nothing tangible you can hang on to, but I have to tell you, when the good Lord's on your side, it makes things a lot easier. It just makes things a lot easier. Not to say you're not going to have struggles. That's for sure. So that's how we started. With the first few years, we had about 3 employees. Now we have 63. I'm actually hiring a new inside sales manager and a couple other people in production later this week. So we'll have about 66 people. Kevin gave me some talking points, by the way, that I was supposed to touch one today. So some of the struggles that I dealt with in the beginning. Has anybody new business in here or been less than 5 years? Okay, so I'm sure you guys are seeing a few struggles maybe. Maybe you've overcame some things. And some of your struggles may be different than they were of ours. But in the very beginning, it was just about, one thing that we dealt with was people who were larger than us had better purchasing power. They could buy things cheaper because they were just buying so much more in bulk. And that's what we'll get to in a second. I love using the term leverage because they had that leverage over you. Like right now, we spend about, just in t-shirts alone last year, I think we spent a little over almost $3.5 million. So we got distributors now who are just crawling all over us to give us our t-shirts. Who wants to throw t-shirts at us? Now I get free shipping, I order it, and they send it to me, each order individually packed, and they ship it on the freight truck, it's free freight. I can order one shirt, and it's the same price if I order 10,000. So I can see, looking back now, how the mom and pop shops or the beginners have a hard time dealing or competing. And so then also, we were starting out, we had manual presses. Are you all familiar with screen printing at all? So we started out, and it's still the same concept as it was 20, 30 years ago. So these little manual presses, and you could do, printing t-shirts back then, you could run about 100 shirts an hour. Now we run 6 automatic presses alone, plus we have half a dozen manuals. These automatic presses can run 900 to 1,000 shirts an hour each. And we run them around the clock. 6 days a week. So that tells you how many shirts that you can actually produce with automatic equipment. So we were competing against that all those years. The problem we had in our area was, everybody here is going to agree with this, I'm sure, but it's finding qualified people and keeping qualified good people. You know, we had one of the struggles we had, we were losing good people in the early 2000s, and we had to switch over and start paying for health care to keep people. And last year alone, we spent a little over $70,000 in health care just for our employees. So, you know, the cost, it just seems like things are constantly changing. And yesterday was one of the worst days I've had. I've been honest with you. You get to a point you think, well, all right, I'm making a good living now. I mean, the bills, it's not the concern. And I go, why am I so stressed out? I mean, I literally left yesterday, had to run to Lowe's because my contractors didn't pick. I also own 80 rental houses. That's probably half my problem right there. But I had to run to Lowe's because the contractor didn't pick stuff up, so I came back and had to make my notes out. I had no idea I'd be gone to 11 o'clock, and so here I was. I didn't even sleep. I was thinking about this all night. But so the struggles are just constantly changing as we've grown. You know, when we were young, it was working a lot of hours. When we're bigger, it's still working a lot of hours. That's never changed for me. One thing that I have found, when I give some of my friends advice, they'll say, you know, and trust me, when I stand here before you guys, it's a privilege, because it's still like, you know how sometimes you think, how am I 41 years old? I still feel like I'm 25. It's kind of that way in business. You go, man, we're a huge printing company now. I mean, we're one of the largest in the Midwest. And 95% of our orders are shipped out of state. We got 67 employees, and I go, I don't feel like I know everything how I should have got here. You know what I'm talking about? You think, how did I even get to this point? You wake up. But one thing that I have learned is don't be your own bottleneck. You know, I think some of the hardest things that we deal with is nobody's going to run your business like you are. Nobody. Nobody's going to treat your customers with enthusiasm like you are. It's just the way it is. But there comes a point that I look back, we did for the first 20 years, until 2004, we made our first $1 million in sales. It took 20 years. And me and my dad are two totally different types of business guys. Totally different. He's very tight, and I'm spinning. You know what? If we bring in $1 million, let's spend $950,000. I can live on 50 grand, and let's just bring in more business. That's the way I look at it. And he's totally opposite. But he's at a different time in his life, too. But I remember there was a point in 2004, I was doing all the artwork, and I did not want to turn it over, because in the printing business, that's what it revolves around, is artwork. I mean, it requires, when you're printing shirts for the Kraft family, or, you know, man, we do all kinds of concert stuff. When you're doing things for Cincinnati Bengals football training camp, you got to have good looking stuff. You can't look like you've done it out of your garage. And I was so afraid to turn that over. So finally, I just realized I couldn't do it anymore. I was about to kill myself. So I brought a guy in who's a good artist. I put a chair and a desk in my office, and I made him sit right there, and I trained him for a solid year. I would not let him send anything out to the customer until I approved it. And then finally, once he got to the point to where he knew what I liked and what I expected, he's better than I am today. He's still with me today. So he's been with me 12 years. And now he's probably one of the best graphic artists in the state, or that I know of. So I just realized back then, and then all of a sudden this $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $6 million in sales just started rolling. It just started coming in. And, I mean, granted, there's a lot more to it than just hiring a graphic artist. But one thing I did realize early on is don't be your bottleneck, and the work followed the capabilities. So when we started investing, these automatic printing presses are $100,000 to set one up. So when you're buying, you know, you're going from a manual press that would cost you $3,000 to spending $100,000, and that's not even counting the dryer that it takes to produce. You know, you got to run the shirts through and let the ink cure. Those dryers are $35,000. So just to be able to step up to the big boys game, I mean, we had to spend, you know, altogether $1 million easy just in the last 2 or 3 years, just upgrading and keeping up with the times. So things have just constantly changed, but this is no lie. In the last couple of years, we have more business than I can actually handle still today. It's more business than I can handle, and that's a good problem. Matter of fact, in the sales meeting yesterday, everybody's stressed out. Everybody, phones are ringing off the hook. We had one issue we had to deal with. You know, you're going to have some things, and people I can see stress on everybody's face. I just brought everybody in, calmed them down, and I'm like, guys, this is a great problem. Nobody's here that's ever been laid off, ever, since we've been in business. We're growing. We got one guy who's been with us 6 weeks. He's already writing up $20,000 a week in sales. And I thought his name's Tiger. That's his real name. I said, Tiger, I said, where else are you going to have that problem? He's like, man, he goes, I know, it's just the phones are ringing off the hook. And I said, you're a salesman. You know, you better be thankful for that. There's some places that they're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. So I'm constantly, as a manager, whatever you want to call my title, of putting out fires, talking people off the ledge, pumping them back up, making them feel like this is good problems. We're growing. Like Kevin just said, we just moved into a new facility, 24,000 square foot facility about 6 months ago. And we still have the old facility. It's about 11,000 square feet. So we got both those. But we've had companies that know we have the capability. We've got one company out of Northern Ohio and I've agreed, it's a confidentiality agreement, so I can't really disclose who they are. But they are shutting down different departments within their company. They're a $1 billion a year company. You can probably guess if you know anybody in our industry. But each department does $25 million a year in sales. And they're shutting down 25 departments, and they're outsourcing this. We had the highest rating. They put us on a 1-year probation, kind of see our quality, our turnaround time. We had the highest rating out of every vendor. They literally called me on the phone. They're like, as much business as you want, that's what you can have. That's what they tell me. And that was just recently. I've got another company. They're a West Coast company. We used to print for them. Have you ever heard of Custom Ink? Okay. Yeah. It's their largest competitor. By the way, Custom Ink does not do their own printing. They outsource it all. So does their largest competitor. They called me up last Monday. They said, Josh, they tried to start doing printing themselves. They found out they're a good website company, but they're not good at screen printers. So they were losing a lot of business. They couldn't meet deadlines. So they called me actually last Monday and said, how many print hours a day can you handle? And that's how terminology we use with them. I said, how many do you need to get caught up? They said, can you handle a minimum of 20 print hours a day? I said, no problem. So we just got another printer coming, an automatic press dedicated just for them. And it's to a point to where once we got the foundation laid and we got the right salespeople in place, I put supervisors over every division. So one over art, there's one over in-house sales, one over out-house sales, outside sales, one nighttime supervisor, one daytime production. And I found now that I don't have to go back there and talk to those guys that are stacking the shirts and run myself ragged. I don't have to go back there and say, hey, make sure that orange is a bright orange. I go to the supervisor. We have a meeting every morning, which I think is very crucial in business, is that you're very open with your employees. I'm very blunt with my supervisors. Now, if I do walk back there and those guys working hard, I'll say, here, let me buy your lunch at McDonald's today. Here, let me do this, let me do that. And I'll butter them up. And if there's anything that I need to say that's going to break them down a little bit where they're messing up, I'll tell the supervisor. Because I'm very, very upfront with them. And my dad, his role has changed a lot. He'll probably be retiring next couple of years, but he does payroll and he's over safety now. And that's one of the things that we found when you get bigger that you have to deal with. The Affordable Health Care Act, the employer mandate is supposed to be kicking in, and we're over the 50 employer mark. So that's something we got to look at. We've actually put a freeze on all new hirees this year, a freeze on health care till we know what's going to happen there. Our insurance provider is telling us it's going to go up 40 to 45% on our health care premiums. And
that's affordable.
Huh?
That's affordable.
Yeah, very affordable. And there's also a lot of that. It's there's a lot more stuff coming down the pipeline. I attended 3 different conferences just on that alone. And I'm not tooting my own horn here because I was scared to death. I didn't know what this thing was going to entail. At this time, when that was passed, we had 43 employees. And what they didn't tell you was they consider full-time employee 32 hours a week, the government does. So it's not 50 employees, it's actually what they consider 50 times 32 hours, which is 1,600 work hours. So once you hit the 1,600 work hours, then you're responsible for healthcare. So it's not really 50, it's like 38, 40-hour people. So what we was trying to do, we was trying to figure out, now it got postponed to after the midterm elections, in my opinion, for a reason. But but what we've done, we put a freeze on that, and we didn't even hire. You know, we were that company where the rubber meets the road on that. So we were going to put off not hiring any more people until we see. So when that was actually delayed to this year, this coming year, we started hiring people that we needed. So we really, in 1 year, went from 43, 44 up to 60-something people, just by knowing that that we were going to be responsible for the increased healthcare costs and stuff. So right now, when we hire people in, we tell them we know we'll pay at least half your healthcare, or we'll pay the $2,000 fine per person, and we'll give you the difference of what we would have been out, and you go buy your own healthcare. So that's what we're kind of looking at. So that's some of the struggles that we have now that we're dealing with. You know, one thing that we deal with now is safety issues. Man, we spend a lot of money on that. I mean, I had a friend of mine that you know is in a pallet business over in Middle County. A guy cut his hand. OSHA comes in and he got fined $500,000. Now, when it was all said and done, he basically went to Frankfurt and told me, he said, "I'm going to lay off 30 people." He's a multimillionaire. He could have just shut her down, and he's in his 60s. But he went and he basically told me, he said, "If I had to pay his fine, I'm putting this in the paper, and I'm going to exploit what's happening here and why 30-something people in the county lost their jobs." And they basically reduced his fines down to $7,500. But, you know, there's things like now, I mean, you get fined $1,500 for it. How many of y'all had to break the third prong off a plug-in and stick it in the wall? $1,500 fine for every prong that's broke off. So just things like that, you know, you're scared to death over. Or the other day we had a girl whose sugar got low and she fainted and hit her head on the concrete, and they were taking her to the emergency room and, you know, documenting everything. So we're spending a ton of money just on that kind of stuff. Whereas when we were smaller, I mean, heck, I took fire extinguisher and we would wrestle around. I shot a guy in the face with a fire extinguisher one time. You know, just because we were young coming and I was young and we just had a good time. But it's not that way anymore. It's just not that way. You got to be careful about everything you say. You know, we're very upfront about sexual harassment. And, you know, if somebody says, "Hey, your butt looks good in those jeans today," they're fired. We'll bring them in, everything's documented, they're fired. And, you know, used to, you know, people flirt around the workplace, you know, when we were a small place, it's not like that anymore. It's just not like that. Not saying it should, you know, that's the right thing to do anyway, but I'm just saying, you know, I don't want to be out $100,000 right on a lawsuit right off the bat, you know, just because somebody said I didn't take care of an issue. So just things like that, you know, we have to be very careful about who you hire, how you hire, why you did not hire them. I mean, it's a constant game of worry now of, am I going to get sued for something? So, you know, we're insurance poor right now. I mean, we pay out the wazoo for insurance. Let's see here. Man, one of the things that I do is, there's a book, it's written, it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep, written by a CPA out of Arkansas, a good Christian man. And that's a good book. But how many of y'all struggle with the tax liability thing? That's why I got in the rental business. Number one, when I was 32, I bought my first rental house, and I thought, I've been printing since I'm 11. My knuckles hurt, my knees hurt from standing on concrete all these years, you know, and I'm paying for it now. I mean, my knees hurt every day. But when I was 32, I realized I can't do this forever. And I had no escape plan, you know. My dad was more about legacy for the business. Yeah, my kids, they can have the business all they want, but I don't want, I look at everything as a numbers game. And to kind of give you a difference, my dad has 2 rental houses that he bought. One of them has been empty for a year because the guy put stain in the carpet, and my dad got mad over it. He's like, I'm tired of dealing with it. It's carpet stain. Whereas me, I look at it as a numbers game. I bring it in $500 a month. Here's how much I'm cash flowing, and here's how much equity I've building up. You know what? Replace all the carpet. I don't even care if I got to do it once a year. So I just look at it as like little chess pieces. And that's my escape plan now. I've been, I would encourage, you know, I always, I got a friend of mine who's worth over 40 million bucks. And we hang out a lot. And Kevin said, make sure you bring this guy. He's a very interesting guy. I just bought him a new, you know, Lamborghini Huracan, and gave $300,000 for it. He's got an old Lamborghini that he just gave, no, I'm sorry. He gave his limo away to charity and sold his Lamborghini for hardly nothing. But I brought a couple of things here, and I'm going to kind of explain to you a little bit of the mindset why I like this guy. It's nice having people, matter of fact, I talked to him on the way over here. We stay in touch. He's in Dallas. We're meeting in 2 weeks to go to New Orleans, we'll hang out together. He's also my biggest client, and that's how we met. And there was not to get ahead of myself, there's one more guy, and I'm going to use this to why I hang out with him. This guy named Bill Ruth, he's worth $100 million, and he's out of Seattle. And he owns 2 big companies that we do a lot of business with. One's Senior Softball USA, and one is ISA. They're mainly out of Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. They put on tournaments all across the country. Well, Bill Ruth, he's an older man, good shape. He's 80 years old, and he's probably in better shape than I am. But he owns these companies, and I'll never forget, a few years ago, we were in Nashville. That's when the conference was in Nashville. And we go out to dinner, and Bill, he owns a fishing resort in Alaska. Some of the cruise ships come in. That's one of the tours you can take there in Ketchikan, Alaska. So he owns that. He said, Josh, he said, why don't you come up and hang out with me for a week? And he said, bring your dad. He really likes my dad. He said, bring your dad and bring your brothers. He said, and I'll pay for everything. He said, you can fish on the lakes. It's normally $4,000 for 3 days. He said, you can have it all week. So this invite was a couple years ago, and I still have not made it up there because when he wants me there is my busy season. So, but he told me one time, and he said this, and it really stuck with me. He said, you don't go fishing with me to get my business. And I thought, well, typically, a lot of times I would think that. You know, you go out and hang out with people, buy them dinner to get their business. He said, you do business with me so we can fish together. He said, that's one thing I've learned. I said, you know what, that's good, Mr. Rude. And he always says, call me Bill, every time. And I thought, you know, that really is good because I love, one of the things I want to talk about, one of the things I love about the business is the people that I meet, you know, getting to meet you all today and hearing different stories, hanging out, going fishing with these guys, going to New Orleans with Tim. We go to football games. We go about 2 or 3 Cowboys football games every year. I'm a big Cowboys fan. He is too. But it's nice to have yourself surrounded with people that support you and hold you accountable and make you, well, they can't make you, but they hold you accountable in the sense that they want you to reach your goals. I keep this on my desk. It's a great reminder. It was about 4 years ago. He and I were in Buffalo Wild Wings in Dallas, and we were talking about rental property. He has $10 million worth of real estate there in Dallas. And I had a few rental houses at the time, and he's the one that got me, he's the one that taught me to buy my first one. And he said, Josh, he said, you got to leverage yourself out. He said, in rental properties, real estate is one of the few things that you can buy that somebody else will pay for it. And he said, and you need he said, that's leverage. He said, you're making money, you don't have to be there. And I started reading this book. Have anybody ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Robert Kiyosaki? Love that book. It's mind-changing. I'm telling you, if there's one book that's ever changed my life, besides the word, it's that book. It talks about buying assets, not liabilities. And if you want there's nothing wrong with having a liability. You know, if you want a Corvette or whatever it is, you know, buy an asset and let pay for the liability. And so that's how I've really, my mentality over the last man, 5 or 6 years has just completely changed the business. So he told me, at this time, he said, how many rental houses are you going to have by the time you're 39? I said, I like to have 50. I like to have 50 rental houses. He said, all right, and by 45, how many do you think you can have? This was just doing some figuring. And I said, I like to have 92 by the time I'm 45. When I turned 40 last December 5th, I'll be 41 by the way, I'm still 40. He sends this up to me in this little case here, and I didn't know he had it. He kept it in the safe all these years. And he said, congratulations on meeting your goal. I actually had 70-something instead of 50. So I blew right past it. And he said, Josh, congratulations. But it was a constant thing of, you buying property? Are you buying property? Now I'm buying one house a month. And I've got crews of guys that go in and remodel these. So that's, and how I'm doing it is when I'm 48, I plan on being able to retire. And so as I'm buying these houses, I'm actually financing them until when I'm 48. So this year I'm financing for 7 years, next will be 6 years, and there's going to come a break-even point to where it's not going to be worth financing, just pay cash for it. And then when I'm 48, I'm done. 48, I'm done. So, and I'm going to share a few things. Rental property right now is bringing about $35,000 a month. I can live on that pretty easy and still pay somebody. So, my dad, he's 58. I got a young dad, but he's still in it. He still stays stressed out. I will not be. I will be going there checking on the business, and I've had the option to sell my half to my brother. Right now, my brother who graduated from WKU a few years ago.
Flippers.
Yeah. Hey,
It's programmed.
Yeah. So he's actually one of the, he's my sales manager, and he's got 10 salespeople underneath him. And he gets paid a commission off what they make. That's the best thing I've ever done. Because once I started paying him a good commission on them, he's like, let's hire another one. Let's hire another one. He's training them, and he's getting on the phone. And he's going to make very good money this year. I wish I could swap with him. Because he's got it made. So in 2009, we won Small Business of the Year. I thought that was pretty interesting. It had to be under 30 employees, which we had at that time. So we got this, that my buddy is just, I really like the fact that he helped keep up with my goals. And by the way, this is just kind of shows them, I give away a lot of free stuff. I invite people over to our shop. That's our old building. You can't see it where we built one in the back. But I brought this, I'm going to tell you a neat story. So Tim is like, Josh, you've got to set goals. This was when I was 35, 36. He said, you've got to set goals for yourself. He said, let me ask you a question. If you make $100,000 this year, he said, and you make next year $105,000, are you going to notice the difference? I said, no, not really. He said, no. He said, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go to Texas Roadhouse more. He said, you're going to put fancier stuff on your vehicles, you're going to put new wheels, and he said, that $5,000's gone. He said, you'll never notice it. He said, so I want to encourage you to do something. Set goals for yourself. He said, when you reach that goal, reward yourself and remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. He said, otherwise, go get a regular job. He said, you could clock out at 4:30 at a regular job. He said, and you'd have a lot less stress. I said, man, I feel like I'm on vacation if I was digging a ditch. If I got to leave at 4:30. My phone rings at 2 o'clock in the morning from the shop. But he said, remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. He said, when I told myself when I reached $5 million in real estate, I was going to buy my first Lamborghini. He said, it was the hardest check I ever wrote. Because he was a poor guy growing up. He was adopted, came from a poor family. And then all of a sudden now he's going to write a check for $185,000 for a Gallardo Lamborghini. He said, but I was sitting there at the dealership. He said, and I told myself, that's what I wanted. I'm going to reward myself. I reached my goal of $5 million in real estate. I'm buying this Lamborghini. And he bought it. It was a black, it was nice. I drove it several times. And so he said, Josh, what kind of car do you have? Of course, I've had no truck now. I've had it 17 years. And didn't have I've always wanted a Corvette. It was the poor man's Lamborghini. And he said, why don't you have one? I said, yeah, I'm not going to go spend at the time. It was the $63,000 sticker price. It was 2006. He said, all right, here's what I want you to do. Don't use your screen printing money. He said, I know that's for you and your family. He said, set a goal, real estate-wise. He said, and when you hit it, he said, buy yourself a Corvette. And I said, deal, I'll do it. He goes, no, he said, I'm not kidding. He said, I want you to do this. I said, all right, I'll do it. So I come back to Central City. I start looking for real estate opportunity to where I can make some money. In my mind, I thought, if I can make $25,000 on a real estate deal, I'm going to go buy me a brand new, convertible, bright yellow Corvette. And that one's fine right there. I took the new that on. So I start looking around, and I come across the mini mall. You know what I'm talking about, right, Kevin? Guy, I buy it, do some updating to it. And I thought, well, I got this warehouse, so I bought a truckload of hot tubs. Do you remember that? I bought truckloads of hot tubs, brought them in, made a couple grand a piece on those. And once they were gone and sold the building, ended up making about $60,000 on that deal. And that's just because I just made myself start looking for it. So when I made that deal and the bank gives me the check and we closed on it, I got in the line, I bought me a brand new bright yellow convertible van. And so I'll never forget when I went and picked it up in Raleigh, North Carolina, the guy, he said, man, I have to meet, so you look young. He said, I can't even afford that. He said, how do you afford that? And I said, honestly, I just did a real estate deal. And I said, I didn't use the money that I work for every day. That pays my bills, and it's what I invest. So I thought that's kind of, it did change my attitude. The vet, and I'll be honest with you, I still have it. It's got 14,000 miles on it. I never drive it. Because it's useless with 4 kids. But one thing I realized, it changed my whole mindset of the small town mentality. And hanging around Tim, if I have to admit, it broke me free from that. And that was one of the most beneficial things ever. It's just bringing that small town mentality. So one of the other things I started doing, and by the way, I use the slogan all the time, don't reinvent the wheel. Find somebody that's successful, just do what they do. Just do what they do. You know, me and him, I could bore you all day with these stories, but we were sitting at the Waffle House in Dallas the next morning after a Cowboys game. It was before my flight. We were talking about real estate. We're in his, not his Lamborghini at the time, we were in his Porsche that he bought from Troy Aikman, the old Dallas Cowboys quarterback, going through Super Bowls. He bought Troy Aikman's Porsche, and he bought that because he's a big Cowboys fan, and it's just kind of neat, you know. And we're sitting there, and this lady hears us talking about real estate, this waitress, and I'm not putting down anybody whatsoever. I'm standing Tim Maher here because I just want you to hear what she says. So we're sitting there talking, and she goes, "Oh, really? Y'all have rental property?" Tim said, "Yeah, I've got some here, and he's got some back in Kentucky." And she goes, "There is no way I'd have rental property. No way." She says, "I wouldn't want to." He said, "Why?" And she said, "Who wants to plunge commodes, and who wants to do this?" And she left, and I'm speaking openly here. Now he said, "Josh, now you think about this. She's making probably $3 an hour plus tips. And here I am." He said, she knows, he's known everywhere where he goes right there. And he goes, "They know I own a penthouse here in Dallas." Now he's not a bragger. He would give it away to anybody if he had to. He would, he's that type of guy. But we're just very open with each other. He said, "Here I got this penthouse downtown Dallas. I got this, I got that." He said, "I'm probably one of the most successful people that they know." He said, "Why, if I'm giving advice, would she tell me I wouldn't do that?" And I thought, you got to be careful who you take your advice from. And so I would say, don't reinvent the wheel. Find somebody that's upbeat, successful, optimistic. I hate pessimism. And just do what they do. And that's what I did. So he had at this time, he had a Lincoln limo. And every time he'd pick me up at the airport, he'd send the driver up there. He'd have, I drink Coke, and I quit drinking Cokes now. I try not to. But he'd have it stocked whatever he wants, snacks. And I felt like a rock star. Everywhere I went, we would pull up this limo, and I just felt like a rock star. And so, I'm going back, don't reinvent the wheel. So, 5 years ago, I bought my first limo. I bought a Lincoln Town Car that was longer than his. His 120 stretch. I had about 180. It's just because, me and him, we're just kind of jabbing. He's worth a lot more money than I am, that's for sure. So here's my first limo. The reason I brought that is I want to get out of the small town mentality, right? So that company right there opened in Knoxville, Tennessee. His name's Mark Ogletree, and they're opening a big printing company. And they already had a lot of business. So Mark's like, "Well, Josh, I want to be guaranteed prices. I said, man, we can sign a 2-year price agreement, no problem. You got to guarantee me so much work. And he said, well, I'll try to guarantee you that much. I want to press the issue a little bit. So we met in Nashville, and I think the tall guy, 6'9", he works for me. He runs my Ohio store. And then Brian was one of my sales guys at the time, handling that account. So I pick him up in the limo, and we get ready to sign. We got to dinner. We go to Hooters, and that's where they want to go to Sports Fanatics. And so we go to Hooters, and we're leaving. I said, we're going to sign it or not? And he said, Josh said, anybody, here's the exact word, that rolls up in a limo that owns a printing shop must know what they're doing. Let's do this. And he don't realize I only gave $14,000 for that car. I got a good deal out for it, out of New Orleans. So it was all about perception. So every time, you know, when the football team opened up the Rage up in Evansville, I sent the limo to pick the owners up. We met, because I live in a small town. I mean, Central City's a small town, right? So I don't want them to have to drive by cow pastures to get to my shop and think, you know, this is a mom and pop place. So I'd have the limo pick them up. And by the time when you're in a limo, you don't even see your outside surroundings. You don't even know what's going on. So they pull them up, and we go to dinner, come up to Owensboro, or we actually come over to Applebee's before, and because there's nothing in Central City. But it's just all about perception. Man, I mean, it just changed. And then a few years ago, or 2 years ago, I upgraded and bought a stretch Hummer limo. And that thing, I'm not kidding you, has paid for itself probably 5 times over. Just the perception. This guy right here is a big wig in Florida. He does a lot of business with me. Actually about $200,000 a year. And he came up, and he was in Louisville on his way up to Northern Ohio. And he came all the way to my shop, got a hotel room, only because he wanted to go out in the limo out to eat. It'd have been a lot cheaper for him just to rent a limo. But he said, I've been seeing this limo. He said, I'm dying on Facebook. He's like, I've been dying to ride in it. So I took him to Roadhouse, we had dinner, and he was off on his way that evening. So it's just the perception of our business has changed. However, that's one of the struggles that we had too, because you got to be real careful locally. You know how it is in small towns. We had 911 office one time. Yeah, break it up. Is it time? My gosh. What time is it, Kevin?
Your 12 minutes is up.
Oh. That's my Adderall kicking in. Is that it?
Somebody had some questions.
Questions?
All right, I'll go.
Yes.
Ask the question. What would you say if you had to do it all over again? What would you do differently? Is there anything you would?
Absolutely. I would have bought more equipment, the automatic presses, 10 years sooner. I would have went in. You know, my dad's philosophy was operate debt-free, which I can agree with that to a large extent. You know, debt-to-income ratio is a big deal. But I think that is good debt. That cuts down on your tax liability. It also, you know, I'm not a believer, and some of you guys may be. I'm not a believer in going out buying a $50,000 truck to save money on taxes. That's just not me. If you need it, that's fine. But just saving 30% of your taxes on that, I would rather buy equipment that's going to generate business. You know, the only bad thing about property is it's depreciated over so many years, so you can't really go buy real estate, write it off on your taxes, even though it's good income. But equipment, you can write off. You know, Section 179 says you can write up to, I think it's $400,000 now, and write it off immediately off your taxes. I wish 10 years sooner we would have done that. I think we would have hit. I think instead of hitting $1 million in 2004, we'd probably been at $3 or $4 million. That's no exaggeration. Anybody else? How many of y'all have been came to the ministry thing that's got a lottery ticket? I'm gonna give everybody one because, and here's the reason why. I thought about this. Oh, thank you. How many of y'all play the Powerball when it hits 200 million just for fun of it? All right. Well, I had a guy one time. I had a guy one time in my church who was giving our youth pastor down the road because he wore shorts in church. But then I caught him buying lottery tickets the next week at a gas station, and he hid the lottery tickets from me like I cared. That's not the worst thing. That's the worst thing he ever done. He's got paid. he hit lottery tickets. He said, "What do you think about Lonnie wearing shorts to church?" And I said, "It's no worse than buying lottery tickets, I don't guess." And his face got light again. I said, "Listen, how you do what you want." But lottery, I brought this because how many of y'all had the feeling when you get a lottery ticket, or I have in-laws that give these to us at Christmas. I don't buy scratch-offs. But you got the feeling, I'm going to win. You kind of get, that feeling for a brief moment where you think, what would I do with the money? Or how, I've got a little bit of hope here of hitting 70 or 90, 100 million bucks. That's one thing I like about business. I like that exact feeling every morning. That is the truth. When I wake up in the morning, I love sales meetings. I love getting up thinking, today I can make whatever amount of money I want to. I can do whatever I want. I'm leaving Friday and taking some bankers to Vegas. And these guys helped me get a lot of good deals on houses. And it's worth me spending a few $1,000s. We're flying out Saturday morning. We're going down to Glendale Friday night, getting a hotel room, and flying out Saturday. We'll be back Tuesday. But I love knowing that I'm going to spend my weekend in Vegas with these guys. And over the next year, I'm going to make a lot more money off these deals that they're going to help me attain, these houses I'm going to get. Bought a 2-story house the other day for $15,000, and it's literally a $100,000 home. It's foreclosed on. So that was what worked. That's one of the guys I'm taking to Vegas. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Coming from a smaller town and doing this business as a kid, how did your family get to a point where you were able to reach out and meet people who were influential to help your business to grow to this point?
That's a good question. I mean, it was a lot of planting seeds. Now, let me get you. So, the capability. It's all about having the capability first, and perception. So, a lot of our business didn't come off. So, you see that site? It's under construction. Our new website actually launches next week. Believe it or not, we have a new site. We went through another company. But having the capability. So, when you do talk to these people, we can offer them better pricing on everything that they're getting. Let me give you an example. This guy right here. How I landed his business, this is no lie. I was in Orlando, we went to Disney World. His office is about an hour from Disney World. He's never met me. I already typed up a proposal for him. It's Independent Softball Association. Now it's called Independent Sports because they include a ton of sports. I walk into his office. I said, "Mr. Stratton, my name's Josh Randall. I own Central Screen Printing in Kentucky. I've dealt with a couple of the people you work with out of Tennessee, and he told me you have 10,000 umpires, and I've noticed on your website that you guys don't have a logo, a set logo, and you're a multi-million-dollar organization." I was like, "Here's what I want to propose to you." And I hand him a proposal. I will build you a website. We'll take orders from it. I'll give you, if I sell you the hat for $8 and you sell it for $15, we'll keep up with all the sales, spreadsheet, and we'll write you a check every quarter for the difference in the money. So now you're making money off your people, off these umpires. When your state directors call an order shirts for all the tournaments, one state director may have 50 tournaments. So you got one director. Now when they order, I'll give you 10% back of all the sales. All you have to do is during your conference, you tell them Central Screen Printing is the official provider of ISA. That's it. That's all you have to do. And I said, and I will get a logo. I'll have it copyrighted for you. I'll do everything. You don't do nothing. And I said, I'll send them about 20 different logos. They picked one. It's been their main logo ever since. So just the fact that I went in with this proposal to be able to offer him better service, to offer him a website built free where he don't have to spend the $5,000 on it. And you can go to isagreenroom.com. No, the umpires work green. So that's why we call it ISA Green Room. So now there's 10,000. This site generates about $1,000 every 2 or 3 days. It depends. I mean, sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends on the season. So just the capabilities, and I love being able to go to people. One thing I've learned is, in my business, you take these guys who put on these big motorcycle rallies, who have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people. They are bikers. They don't know the printing business. They don't know to walk into my shop. They don't know the questions asked. So what we do, I mean, one of my marketing strategies is, I've got 6 full-time artists. Salespeople get with the art department. They put in an art request. We go ahead and create all the artwork. because they don't know what they want. We'll Google it. We'll see if there's anything special in their area that needs to be on the shirt. We'll create the artwork. I'll send it to them. We'll say, if you order 100 shirts, they're $4.75. If you order 500, they're $4.25. And we're going to break it down. So we are already beating the competition, typically, by about $1.50 to $2 a shirt on a 100-piece, the 300-piece, right off the bat. So we'll create the artwork. We'll make it easy for them. And then, literally, it's as easy as you send them the artwork. Here's the price list. And they go, my Lord, I love that artwork. Here's my sizes. And they give me sizes on our shirts. And that has ballooned our company. I mean, we shot up on that. I'll tell you something else I've done. I went to WKU, my brother went there. And I told him, I said, Nathan, I said, as many as I said, I'll give you $10 a head for every one of your friends that will come. I said, I want Buffalo Wild Wings packed out. He goes, you got it. I mean, I bet he had 60, 70 people there. He loaded them up. I printed everybody a shirt. It said, every day I'm making money. It had a big dollar bill sign in glitter green. I mean, it was cool, you know, and I put Central Spring Green logo on the back. It was young guys. And I said, guys, here's what I want you to do. I want you to send out 100 emails every day. And I'll guarantee you that I'll pay you $150 a week for the first 6 weeks. No questions asked. How hard is it to send 100 emails? And they're like, man, that's cake. You know, these guys are going to school. So they start sending out 100 emails a day. I said, when you get a reply, you shoot it over to the sales manager at the time, and you let him respond to you, and then you can forward it to the customer what to say. And then we gave them a commission on every sale that way. We had guys, we picked out about 6 people that we wanted to keep on after we talked to everybody. We had guys that was making $500, $600, $700 a week after about 2 or 3 months, and they weren't doing anything anymore. They got to where they were just replying to emails. So as time went on, they graduated. I hired one of them brought in, and I just hired inside salespeople. I said, that's all I want you to do. Just send out emails. All day long, I'm going to pay you to send out emails. And then we've noticed it starts coming back around 6 to 8 weeks. So once we see the sales really picking up, so we will guarantee salespeople a certain amount of money because we know it's going to cycle back around, and then that's it. We start doing, and that's how I just led one thing to another. It's not that I really go out and always look for the big fish, because sometimes those accounts are the least profitable. You know, the one I was telling you about where they're outsourcing to us, I mean, it's literally 10 cents on the dollar. I'd much rather do one of our regular motorcycle. Anybody else? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Since your reach is so big, I know that, you know, and you're from a small community, what do you do to give back to Central City?
Well, that's a good question. Mainly I channel everything through the schools or through my church a lot of times, because one thing I found out too, we did buy a website, a name, URL, it's shirts4hertz.com. And we just bought that about a year ago, and was trying to implement it somehow, because we're always getting, you know, thumbs up for Lane, you know, remember that, Lane? That's really hard in our business, because every time they want to raise money, it's somebody with leukemia, it's somebody with cancer, we hear tragic stories all the time. We have to stay in business. We can't just do stuff for free constantly. I mean, as you all know how many times you hit up for donations every day. So we bought Shirts for Hertz. We work with the Church of God, international office out of Cleveland, Tennessee. We use them a lot. They're also a big client. I grew up in the Church of God. I go to General Baptist now. It doesn't matter denomination, but I grew up in the Church of God, and I just know those guys very well. Like in Romania, they build orphanages in Mexico. So we do donate a lot through them. And also Gideon's International, y'all know, Gideon's, they give out scriptures. We give 10% of the website back to Gideon's International, by the way. So to say everything's local, I can't really tell you that everything's local, but through the school system, I mean, our school system's broke over there, and the kids don't have a lot of money. My daughter's a cheerleader, you know, so we give a lot to the student organizations and things like that, but mainly through Green River Chapel when I pay my tithes. And if we see a need, I mean, you know, one thing about it is, my dad may know somebody he wants to get to, I may know somebody, but you gotta look at it this way, it's both of our money. So we gotta be fair to each other too. So whatever he gives away is 50% my money, and same here. So we're very careful about, now, the Shirts for Hearts, the reason why we're doing that is, we want to be able to offer shirts at cost, which is hardly nothing, to people that has cancer, things of that nature. We want to be able to say, hey, Central Screen Printing, that's a division of Central Screen Printing, go to Shirts for Hearts, order it off the website. We're going to have Josh Dukes, he's going to be the one that's in charge of that site. So that is actually one thing we are in the process of working on.
Bringing back up the local thing, do you all still take local business, or is that I wasn't sure if the scope has.
Yeah, and that's actually, believe it or not, that kind of hurt us being growing the way we did. I wouldn't say hurt, it's that, and I'll give you an example, like 911 office, dispatch, I got friends that work there. So they ordered through somebody else. And I was like, my best friend's wife works there. And the girl who ordered them goes to my church. I'm like, Chrissy, why did you order those? Dude, and you're paying $7.50 a shirt. We sold them to you for $5. And she's like, well, Josh, she said, I know you are too big. Y'all don't have time for the small orders anymore. And I was like, who told you that? Because 75% of our orders is small orders. I mean, it should, those 1,000-piece orders. I mean, we do them all the time, but the majority of our stuff, 50 and 75 shirts. So she's like, well, I'm sorry the next time, so and I got them back. But I try to be real careful. And then, as you know, I don't know if y'all deal with it, there is a thing called small town politics. It's the buddy system, and that frustrates me to no end. I mean, I was on a